Hello, I'm Joel Miller, and you're joining me again for another tutorial with Freedom Life Financial Group and Security National Life. And today we are going to be talking about the development of you. Now, I know we're going to get into some more technical aspects of training and development, but I thought that this was important enough that we take a pause and we really think in terms of our personal development, making ourselves better. So first of all, just, a better self is a better world. And we all have impacts on people's lives, and it's very difficult to quantify what those impacts were. I mean, I remember, coming up and, teachers having impacts on me in such a way that I started traveling to different countries and going to school in different countries and living in the bush, and people having impact on me. People who never knew they had impacted my life. I just watched them from a distance, and business people where I just was able to observe some of the things that they did, leadership principles that they enacted in their daily activities impacted my life. So as they were growing and developing, it was making me better. And so, basically developing yourself, we want to make sure that as we are going forward in this, that we are developing ourselves and we are cultivating a better you. I'm cultivating a better me. Think about it. People generally, they start out, they go to, kindergarten or preschool, and, they learn how to stand in line, and, you go to kindergarten. Now, it's amazing. People throw kindergarten, graduation parties. I mean, you graduated from taking naps and eating graham crackers and coloring outside the lines. But, people are still celebrating that. And then, middle school and high school and college and grad school. And then when we get out of school for whatever reason, a lot of people just stop learning. They're feeding themselves by television banter. And I'm not saying it's not I mean, hey, we need all to be able to relax and have some activities, and watching movies may be one of your activities. So I'm not putting that down. But a lot of times people are avid learners until they stop school, and then they just stop learning. And I'm just going to coast on all the education I've gotten in the past. Well, to continue to grow, to continue to develop, which is going to equate to your income going up, you're going to need to continue to develop yourself. So, how can you do that? One of the things you want to do is you want to be careful of what you place in your mind. And you want, so one of the things, feed your mind with positive information. One of the things that I do not do, and I'm not saying that I'm illiterate of what is going on in the world, current events and things of that nature, but I do not feed myself a daily dose of the national news and national media. I mean, because it's dead. It's good news doesn't sell. So you're just constantly getting bad news and the bad things that are going on in the world, and it clouds your mind, and it puts you in a you hear some people that they don't even want to have kids. They're like, I don't want to bring a child into this world. First of all, you're not bringing them into the whole world. First of all, you're bringing them into your home. You're developing a culture in your home, and hopefully they're going to be able to duplicate that culture and impact the lives of other people. You're not going to, have a child and they go to Somalia, for an example, and fight as a Somalian rebel. So, but the thing about it is, when you're focusing on just the bad things that are going on, it really darkens your spirit. It darkens your creativity. It darkens your hope, a sense of possibilities, a sense of wonder that really is naturally placed in every individual. We grow up, we don't, start out depressed. You don't see just depressed babies. They just frowning all the time. They're just crying all of the time. You tell me your baby never laughed ever? It was like a Vulcan from Star Trek. They was just serious. No, it's things in life, people that we get around, they start putting bad information in us and telling us what we can't do, and it starts to color the way that we perceive the world. And so, there's certain things I say you just got to push away. You know what? And there's certain people that you have to push away from. because I mean, I had a guy. Let me just tell you, and this guy was a friend of mine, and this guy was not being malicious at all. Matter of fact, he was really trying to help me. I had gone through a very difficult time. I had lost a bunch of money, and I was sitting on my steps, and he was sitting next to me. I mean, he was about to go leave and make another job, making $250,000 a year. And I promise you, he wasn't trying to put me down. He just said, "Hey, listen, Joel, you're not going to be able to make the kind of money that you were making before. It's just you're going to have to figure out a new normal for yourself." And because I respected this gentleman, I thought I actually started accepting what he was saying. I was like, "Oh my goodness, I gotta figure out what a new normal is going to be for me and my family. This is going to be terrible. I just got to figure out how can we make." And I started trying to figure out how can I make it on the least amount of money as possible. Thank goodness that didn't stay in me. I began to work. I began to set goals, and I started making more money than I had ever made before. And so, but it took, actually, I had to overcome his words to be able to move on to the next level. And sometimes that's what happens. We have to overcome the voices that are around us, the naysayers around us that's saying that it can't be. Just because it can't be done for them doesn't mean that it can't be done for you. I remember one time, there was a woman that said to me, this was years ago, I wanted to start a business that had to do with credit repair. And so I was going to name it Titan Credit Repair. So I'm coming up with a logo, I'm trying to think about it, Titan Credit. And I told this person that was at a church, this young lady, a woman, I said, I'm thinking about starting a credit repair service, and it's called Titan Credit Repair. And here's what she did. She did this. I kid you not. She said, "Titan, Titan, Titan. The Lord says Titanic, Titanic." I mean, so this woman, first of all, she's putting this on God. That God is some kind of way channeling the word Titanic through her to tell me that my stuff was going to run into a virtual iceberg, I guess. So, I mean, and listen, I love, I'm a Christian. Listen, I love Christian people. But, if you're sitting there, I mean, how many people know there's some crazy Christian people out there? So, just crazy. I'm not saying all, but there's some out there now. But, we want to stay away from that too, the craziness. But here's what we want to do. We want to listen to audiobooks. You're like, well, I don't like to read. Get an audiobook. Get a book on leadership. Get a book on selling, the art of selling, I mean, get a book on closing. Get a book dealing with interpersonal relations, how to, get along with people. Just get a book that, listen, I'm not trying to tell you exactly what to listen to, but it might be sermons. It might be inspirational teachers. I listened to a gentleman, he died, I think in the 50s, maybe the 40s, Earl Nightingale. I mean, Earl Nightingale is just, matter of fact, when he talks, he says, as you're listening to the record player, I'm thinking, what, the record player? So, this guy, his stuff wasn't even on tape. It was on record players, so, but this guy had Earl Nightingale had incredible wisdom, and that still lives on today. But, educational information. But you want to be putting things in your mind each day, each week, that's going to help you to become better. And so, in essence, what I'm asking you to do is to become a superhero. Yes, here's the thing, I will tell you this. I really believe that when you see the different superheroes, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Iron Man, and others, these superheroes really speak to aspects of the human spirit. So understand that superheroes are not victims. And so, when a superhero is going through difficulty, they're not, at least even in the movies that I see, I don't see Batman, he goes through a difficult time in his car, he crashes his car and he's sitting over there like, I spent $500,000 on this car and it was my favorite, car, or the police are always chasing me. I'm just trying to help the city. Why Do they see me as a villain? Why are the cops trying to catch me when I'm just trying to help the, I mean, you don't see heroes crying about the difficulties that they're facing. And not only are heroes not victims, but heroes take responsibility. Often they take responsibility for things that are not even their fault. I went to see the Justice League movie where Batman, I forgot the gentleman that played him. I'm sure you know the name, but he was going around. He was starting the Justice League. So he's going around. And he was collecting people, and when he would go and he would try to recruit a new superhero, one of the things that he would say is, there is some trouble that's coming that we're unprepared for, and so I'm going to ask you to help me deal with this unforeseen trouble that we haven't seen yet. Now think about this. You could have, now I know it's a fictional character, but think about it. The person, that Batman could have said, hey, listen, it's not my job. It's the government's job. It's the president's job. It's the military. They have generals. They have resources. I mean, they have tanks, and they, why? I'm just going to live in my mansion and drive my sports cars and live the good life. No, that's not what he's doing. He's going around recruiting people, preparing for unseen danger that's really not his responsibility, but he takes responsibility. That's what heroes do. We take responsibility sometimes for things that are not even our fault, although we don't have to do. And then heroes prepare. What do? We train. We train by, physically we train. We train by putting the right things in our minds. We train by practicing. Hey, check this out. Practicing on being in relationship with difficult people. Now, here's the thing. I'm not saying, when I say practicing and being in relationship with difficult people, I'm not saying that you just have to go around and be around difficult people all the time. But sometimes, God places difficult people in our lives to teach us a lesson, to humble us. And so it's good, particularly, you might be on a job right now, there's some person that's in your mind that right now, as I'm talking about difficult people, you're like, yes, that's him. Yep, that's her. You know what? What I would encourage you to do is do your very best to try, not only to get along with that person, to figure out ways you can serve that person. Now you might say right now, you must be crazy. I'm not going to serve that person. That person gets on my last nerve. But here's the thing. To have the ability to serve and deal with difficult people has rewards that you cannot even begin to see. Because it is going to relationally and communicating, it's going to allow you to communicate and relationally be with people that a lot of other people can dismiss. I mean, listen, I remember I was sitting at a table and I was dealing with a woman, and I sold her and her husband a pre-need plan, and I could tell she was a difficult person. But I just dismissed it. I dismissed it. And after I finished and she, purchased the pre-need plan, she told me, she said, hey, listen, 4 other people had sat in that chair where you are, and I told them all no. And, but I told you yes. Now, I'm not saying that I'm so good, but I was able to be in a relationship with her. I remember one other time, not to make this about me, but, there was one other time, I wasn't even selling pre-need at the time. This was years ago. And I was selling a very expensive product to a husband and wife. And the husband, so I'm going to just tell you the whole story. I was actually working, because even when I came into this industry, I wasn't a good salesperson. And I wasn't a good salesperson when I was working for Marriott Vacation Sales. I went to school in Orlando. I did my graduate degree in Orlando, and I was working for Marriott Vacation Sales. And, their resorts were like $30,000. So, so you had 90 minutes to sell somebody a $30,000 product. Today I think they're like 50 grand, but there was $30,000 in 90 minutes. And when the husband and wife sat down, the husband sat down and looked at me. The wife turned her chair totally away from me, where she was looking in the total other direction and knitting. Now here's the thing. I wanted to tell her, at least show me the respect of turning towards me. You don't even have to buy it, but show me the respect of turning towards me. But you know what? I didn't fully realize what I'm trying to communicate to you now. But even then, I thought, I can't do that with her. So I was just talking to the gentleman, and we were laughing, and we were having a good time. And she slowly started turning her chair. At first, her head would be turned, and then she would be like, while she was knitting, and then she started turning a little bit. And then about 40 minutes into the presentation, she was fully looking at me, talking to me, laughing, and they bought a $30,000 condo from me just because we had a good time. That's the thing about, not only do we prepare but heroes, we face our challenges and we take them on willingly, not begrudgingly. Because hey, listen, such is life. There are challenges. Nobody gets out of life, challenge free. And so we accept our challenges. You know what? And here's the thing. When you think in terms of, being a superhero, it really starts off at a young age. People start off. I remember when I was a kid, and I would put on some long johns, and I would put my colored underwear over the long johns. And then I would have like a Superman shirt, and then I would take a towel and I would pin it with a safety pin around my neck, and I would run down the street trying to make the towel fly in the wind. Just the imagination of a kid. And so, be the superhero that you once wanted to be in your heart. And maybe you didn't want to be a superhero that flew around and protected people from danger, but maybe you wanted to be a superhero that is a good parent, or a good provider, or a good neighbor, or a good community leader, or a good servant, or a good churchman, or a good lay person, a lay lady, a lay woman. So there's so many things, but you definitely, what you want to do is you want to set goals. We're going to talk about that, but then you also want to face challenges. Listen, if you develop a better you, you're going to make us all better. And so I look forward to your life impacting my life. I am so grateful to have you a part of our team. Thank you so much.